This week we're talking about influencers, social media influencers. Who are they? How do we use them? Interact with them? How can they be helpful to us? So, chapter 14 talks about how can we use influencers and integrate them into our overall strategy. Social media influencers are an interesting dynamic these days. It's estimated that by 2022, somewhere between $5 and $10 billion is expected to be generated through influencer marketing. That's not a small drop in the bucket here. So as a strategist, we have to keep our eye on that particular landscape. But influencers are not as organic as you might think. So you might think about some of the influencers you know. We probably all have a few that come to mind when we think of the term. Whether we're talking about makeup tutorials, unboxing demonstrations, folks that try out new technology, or that demonstrate how to use different tools or things like this. Influencers can have a pretty profound effect on purchasing habits of consumers these days through social media, and strategists can interact with them if they understand how to get the most out of the influencer. The other thing to keep in mind is that there are both local and, well, non-local, I'll say that, national and international influencers. So, whenever you're thinking about influencers, it's important to keep in mind that while there are the national, international influencers that you might see on Instagram, there are also those that might be local to wherever your target audience may be. So if you're a local restaurateur, it's entirely possible for you to find out who the biggest influencers are within your local community and reach out to those social media influencers to help you launch a new restaurant that you might have that you might be trying to get off the ground. So when it comes down to it, this is something that we've got to be aware of, and we've got to be cognizant of. It's got to be a part of our strategy these days, simply because it is so darn effective. So Chapter 14 discusses that. Chapter 15 discusses how to integrate social media into your entire customer experience. Now, this also ties into the influencer idea, because literally anyone could potentially be an influencer. We think about influencers as individual or discrete individuals who have tremendous followings. But truthfully, everyone is an influencer to a certain degree. If, again, using our local restaurateur example, if someone goes to your restaurant and we have a grand opening, and people come to it, we want to encourage all of those first visitors to share their experience, take photos of their food, and to encourage their friends and family then to also come and visit our restaurant. So as much as we can, we want to encourage other folks through our social media platforms to come to our restaurant. This is what we mean by integrating social media into our entire customer experience. So in chapter 14 and 15, we talk about how to inspire customers and influencers to get involved. And in chapter 15, we talk about how we can try and build elements of social media into everything we do. How we can build Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram, as well as whatever else may come down the pipe, into every aspect of what we do. We really want that communication going all the time. Just constant and organic. That's what we're trying to get. And a smart social media strategist is thinking about that. All right. Again, we have the second to last group of online courses. And I've given you in the conclusion a handful of just guidelines for reaching out to and interacting with social media influencers. And these would be established social media influencers. So take a look at the conclusion as well of this week. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. See you in week 9.